Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Happy Wednesday as we have reached Hump Day. Still kind of chilly out there, but looking forward to another fun day. Rick Bozich will be along. Bob Kravitz will be joining us. Got Mr. Nickerson here. Keegan, how are you doing, sir?
Doing good. Excited to fill in for John, the producer. Big shoes to fill. So, looking forward to it.
It is another fun day. Lots going on, of course. Lots happening. Tons of basketball last night. Football news as well. We'll get to all of that. Indiana on the road to Wisconsin tonight to a place they have not won since Howard Taft was president, whatever his first name was.
Yeah, I think I saw a stat. There isn't a single player on the Indiana roster that was alive the last time they won. I think Parker Stewart missed it by like 6 months. He was born in 98.
And it's ridiculous. It's just totally ridiculous for this to be the case, but it is. And we'll see if I'm not sure this is the year or not, but you can't tell, especially with what's going on in college basketball right now. I mean, last night alone, let's make sure I'm on the right day. Yeah, who was that big upset? There's a couple.
Virginia lost to James Madison.
Yeah, there we go. 49-52. And yeah, you mentioned this. Why in the world would Virginia play at James Madison? I have no idea, because that's a dangerous thing to do. And it bit them right in the buttocks, as as our good friend Forrest Gump would say. Bit me in the buttocks.
Yeah.
It certainly bit Virginia in the buttocks. 49-52, they lose. That's the second. Let's see. Weren't they upset by someone else? I remember earlier there was a loss that they had that was of note. I'd have to pull them.
I'm not sure about Virginia. When I think of Virginia getting upset, I just think of UMBC in the tournament a few years ago, and they were a 1-16 seed. So I guess it's not exactly rare for them, but
there was earlier in the season I was talking about. I can't remember if that was to someone that they shouldn't have lost to or what that was. But in any case, wow. Army played the Purchase Panthers. Okay, there's another. Just when I think there is not a team or a school or something I haven't heard of over the course of the years, well, I cannot say I've ever heard of Purchase, whatever they are.
Virginia lost to Navy on the first game of the season.
That's what it was. There we go. Yeah, exactly. So Michigan. Now, Indiana fans, you give yourselves a little comparison. Michigan traveled to Nebraska last night. The final score, 104-67.
Yeah. 6.5 point favorites.
Gives you a little indication of where Michigan might be. That's scary. That's the team that has, that Indiana had to fight to get over. And wow, Michigan just dispatches. As I watched the score change in front of my eyes, I've never seen that before. What did I say the score was?
104-67.
It just changed to 102-67.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, well, Michigan coming off that.
I've never seen that happen. This is the scoreboard that I have all the games up.
Yeah.
It's on one of the sites, and the score literally changed, and now it just changed back to 104.
What site are you on?
Yahoo.
Gotcha.
This is the final from yesterday. I've never seen a score change and now it's back to 102. That's hilarious.
Yeah, Michigan coming off that loss to North Carolina. So, and it was a really bad loss. So I think they were playing a little angry against Nebraska, and I kind of felt bad for the Cornhuskers because that was I was just following it on my app, and it just kept on getting a bigger and bigger differential, but took minus
That's a
6.5.
beat down, baby. That's
Yeah.
a beat down. So if you think Michigan's not back, they're tired of hearing about Purdue.
Oh yeah, can't blame them.
8,718 days since Indiana won at Wisconsin. Wow. That's a lot of days, man. Thanks for that note, Sam. That's a lot of numbers.
It's Michigan, Ohio State level before this season.
No, it's worse.
I know. Michigan hit 15 threes. Wow.
Hoiberg said in a post game he has never had a team quit like that. Oh, wow. Whew. That's not good to say about your own team.
Especially when you coached in the NBA, because I feel like that would happen on a nightly basis.
Holy cow, man. You talk about getting called out. Man, that's big time. That might explain that a little bit. But, yeah, and Michael's Michigan hit 15 threes in that game. Man, whoo. And when a team is hitting like that, it kind of takes the wind out of your sails.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be honest with you. Jennifer says that game was boring to watch, though. She notes the Big Ten season is going to be tough for Indiana. It is going to be tough. She's right. There's going to be losses, man.
Yeah.
There's going to be, Michigan's good. Purdue's good. Ohio State is what
they beat
what
Duke.
They are. Maryland, Michigan State. Trying to think. Rutgers has not done anything to make me think of them this year, but it's going to be tough. Period. Yeah. You go on the road, and I don't care who you're playing most of the time, except for Michigan and Nebraska.
Yeah.
But Texas Tech upset Tennessee on the road. Number 13 Tennessee loses to Texas Tech in overtime, 57-52. So
yeah, the score at the end of regulation was 44-44. And that's crazy.
That sounds like a Wisconsin, Minnesota score.
Yeah, and especially after seeing Indiana, Syracuse last week in that high-scoring game, and then to watch that, it just tells you about the dynamic of college basketball and how different teams can be. But
well, we'll talk about the dynamic of college sports. All right, plenty of going on there. Also in the transfer portal world, OSU, Ohio State hired Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State as defensive coordinator. He was their defensive coordinator. At Oklahoma State, I believe they led the country in like 5 defensive categories, or at least the Big 10, Big 12. But I'm thinking nationally, they were just unbelievable defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State just got that much. Now you've got Ryan Day, Kevin Wilson, and Jim Knowles as the triangle there.
Yeah. I don't think it's a surprise that Ryan Day is going to do something after losing 2 games in a season, because that's basically unheard of for an Ohio State coordinator. But like you said, one of the best defensive squads in the country, and that's in the Big 12, where defense doesn't exist, and they just basically score 60 points a game. So for him to do that in the Big 12, it's going to draw eyes, and Ohio State can write a big check. So.
Let's see. We're talking about the Nebraska game. Bobby says, to be fair, Nebraska played 3 games in 6 days, and 2 were on the road with a 4 overtime game worn out. Maybe. I don't know, man. Games, you just got to get up. You're 19, 20 years old. You got to get up and you got to play. But Sean says he went to the Michigan versus San Diego State in Ann Arbor on Saturday afternoon. The place was a library. They got it going here in Bloomington, he says. Environment can win games. Well, kids may not have been back from break yet. I'm not sure. Who knows? I've been to Michigan's Chrysler Arena. It's a great shooting arena. Dark background. Great shooting arena. Sean talking about Tanner Bailey, asking if you got any NIL money lying around. Would be a huge get.
That would maybe be one of the biggest gets in the history of Indiana football, because he holds offers from. He was committed to Oregon. Cristobal left, and then he decommitted, and now he still holds offers from Alabama and Auburn. So definitely NIL money would definitely help.
Well, it's going to take that, because now that's what's happening a lot. And you asked for it and you got it.
Yeah.
People wanted this. People were saying, oh, this is how it's not everybody, but college sports is changing forever, and not for the good in my eyes. It's not for the better. Texas now has a program, NIL program, where every offensive lineman on scholarship receives $50,000. Okay. That's not name, image, likeness.
Yeah. That's just a check.
That's just a blanket. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's an inducement.
Yeah.
That goes against how the rule is set up. But guess what? The NCAA is not going to do a damn thing about it.
Yeah.
They're almost have resigned themselves to policing, because this is exactly against this rule. It is supposed to be name, image, likeness. You can set all that stuff up, yada, yada. Well, these deals are preset without knowing who the hell these people are. They don't know their name, image, or likeness, but yet they already have a deal. They have a deal coming in before they get there. That's not how this is set up. That's not how the rules set up. But I promise you, no one's going to do a damn thing about it. Especially if they're going into the SEC. That's the king. You better be cheating. If you're not cheating in the SEC, you don't have a chance.
Not winning. Yeah.
You ain't winning, baby.
Did you see Quinn Ewers, that thing about him? So he's basically a free agent right now, and Texas Tech is promising first-round draft pick signing bonus level NIL money for him to go there. So like $9 to $10 million level if he goes and joins Zach Kittley at Texas Tech.
How are they doing that? In what way? Like, how is that offer structured?
It's just going to be, they're going to get him with 20 or 30 endorsements, car dealerships, all that good stuff, and just get them as much money as they possibly can. Because a cap?
It's supposed to be, I forget the exact phrasing, but what they call normal. No, there's no, see, that's the thing. There's no exact rule on it either. It's the wild, wild west. Quinn Ewers left high school. He left high school early just to sign an NIL deal for Ohio State, no less, and leaves Ohio State without ever. Did he even enter his actual freshman year with them?
No, I don't
he
think
went
so.
there at semester, right?
Yes, he left high school semester early.
Yeah, so he came at the break, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
And if you think it wasn't about, he already had a $1.something million deal, right? Okay, so you already had $1 million deal. Now, this is free agency. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And so, and if you think Indiana's going to compete in this?
I don't.
In football? No.
No.
Absolutely not.
I don't think Mother Bears can afford that.
You think Indiana was bad before? It's about over, folks. And it has nothing to do with Tom Allen. It had nothing to do with Nick Sheridan. I mean, this season did, but it's about to change because of name, image, likeness. And it's about to change in a bad way, I think. There are going to be schools in basketball that have sucked for years. All of a sudden, though, if you have the right donor, they can become a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Anybody can become a powerhouse. You haven't seen it yet because it's going to take a couple years for this to come into full force. We got to take a break. We'll talk about more about this and plenty more. Rick Bozich is on with us today. Looking forward to that. Also, Bob Kravitz. Bob is always fun. See what's going on with those guys. The Pacers, they're looking at rebuilding. Man, they could be getting rid of some names. How the Colts doing? Indiana at Wisconsin night, all kinds of stuff. Purdue's number 1. We'll be back with all that and more here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
I think Ewers had already made about somewhere close to $1 million at Ohio State, and he was the 3rd string quarterback.
Yeah, that is nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Where is this? Texas Tech he's going?
It's not official yet, but that's the favorite. I think he's bringing a lot of flipped commitments or transfers with him, like 5 stars. Because wasn't he supposed to be in that same district as Hoover? If he would have...
They did. They played. That's the only team that Josh Hoover lost to during the regular season.
I'm really wondering if it was homesickness.
For
Ewers.
Lubbock, Texas ain't exactly close to anything.
I mean, is that where he's from?
No, that's where Texas Tech is. Way out in West Texas. Where's he? Yeah, he's from where I don't know where he's from, but
he's from Carroll Senior, South Lake.
But playing football in Texas is, I don't know, man. He was behind a lot of guys at Ohio State. He's going to play
it's
a lot.
5 hours from Lubbock.
Yeah, so it's a lot closer though than Ohio State.
Yeah, still 5 hours is a lot.
Hey, you got to stay on top of this 3 minutes because I'm not.
Yeah, I know. I am.
James Madison beat Virginia. Really?
That was the first thing we talked about.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, well, I thought it was, I knew we just talked about them losing. I'm like going, who the hell? I said, when was that? No.
Tiger Woods considering playing in PNC Championship with son. I hope. I want to watch that again.
How old is his son now?
Maybe 12. And he is very near a scratch golfer.
This is funny. The last time IU won in Madison, less than 1 in 10 households had internet. Vast majority had no mobile phone, and Michael Jordan and John Elway were still playing. Elway won the Super Bowl that same day.
We are back in 5 seconds. 2, 1. Go.
Welcome back on this Wednesday. Hope you're having a good mid part of your week. Gotten chilly out there. Certainly did. But Keegan Nicholson along with me right now from thehoosier.com. Rick Bozich to join us. Bob Kravitz is on today as well. Looking forward to that. Indiana is in Madison, Wisconsin tonight. Shimatory 66 put up a funny comment. The last time IU won in Madison, less than 1 in 10 households had internet. The vast majority had no mobile phone, and Michael Jordan and John Elway were still playing. Elway won the Super Bowl that day. That kind of puts it in perspective.
Yeah. I wasn't alive, if that puts it in any more perspective.
Yeah. Wow. Charlie Miller will be on to do the post game tonight. He was on the team that last beat Wisconsin. The first game in their first time that they played in the Kohl Center. So they had that going for them, which was nice. But Fresno State hires Jeff Tedford as their head coach to replace Kalen DeBoer. Jeff Tedford was the coach who left because of health issues, and then Kalen DeBoer went there. Had this guy not left, you would have probably seen Kalen DeBoer for the last 2 seasons before he would be leaving now to go someplace with all the turmoil. But at least would have had him for these 2 seasons, and now you'd be getting Nick Sheridan hired. And so you'd be going through the next 2 years of mediocrity. So I guess you get it over with is best, I guess, right?
Was Fresno State the only job that was kind of calling for him, or were there any rumors for DeBoer?
Back then, no, because he'd only been at Indiana a short time, and it's where he had come from, Fresno State. And as soon as that job opened up, it was like, he's gone.
Yeah.
Which I knew he was going to be gone a year later. He may not have. I don't know if he would have lasted another year. He may have lasted 2 more years because last year was the COVID year.
Yeah.
And then been here through this season. But after this season, Indiana probably would have been better, I'm going to say, and probably wouldn't be here now. But it is that's where you are. And the coaching hire of Walt Bell has just, I'm amazed at the response or lack thereof there has been for him. It has been one of the most lukewarm hires that I've seen. I'm not, that's because, and I've been in that same position because I'm like, I'm not sure. It's a year from now. You almost have to wait a year. What is he going to do? Because I'm like, all right, you can't look stupid. Say, oh, that's a terrible hire. Now, when they hired Nick Sheridan, I said it then. I said that's a bad hire. It's not going to work. I don't agree with it, and I said it on the air. But this one, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, on paper, it's not a great hire, but I'm not going to go with that. He seems very offensive minded.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he's really had success anywhere that he's been. He certainly has not had success as a head coach at UMass, where he had the worst record in the 125 years of football that they've had at that school, 2-23 over 2 years before he was let go. Mm-hmm. That's very concerning. I understand a lot of OCs do not succeed as a head coach. I've mentioned that Cam Cameron is an example, and there are others. But man, that's bad.
Yeah. I'm interested to find out how many calls they made and the job was turned down.
You're not going to ever find that out.
Yeah, I know. But you wonder how many people had to turn down that job because the job was open for a week and a half. Is that what it was? Something like that. So
Tim asked, why do you think there's been no official announcement for Bell's hired OC? I'll tell you why I think. I think it's because they're waiting for maybe, is he going to make any changes or is he allowed to make any changes? I don't know. I think that he's going to be given a little bit more rope than Norm Charlton I mean, Charlton Warren,
No.
every time, boy, I swear to God, man hasn't thrown a pitch in the majors in 25 years. That's what happens when you're a Reds fan.
Nasty voice.
Charlton Warren, he didn't have much rope. He couldn't. He was brought in and told, "Hey, here's the defense you're going to run, and here's your guys." So that's an unusual situation. Usually, a coordinator has some say in things, and I think more so on the defensive side, Tom Allen's a little more stern because he's a defensive coach, and on the offensive side, he really doesn't. He's said many times, "Hey, I need a head coach on the offense," which kind of not good that he's not in that at all. But I think that because of that, he may be given the opportunity to hire some different people if he wants. I am surprised that we have not seen another change or two. I'm shocked, to be honest with you, because if you think that there was just one issue with that football team, you're out of your damn mind. But that's Indiana, and there you go. So
yeah,
I'm just that's the only reason I can. Why do you think there's not? Well, I knew that there wasn't going to be an announcement this week. And
I think
it may not come to the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, he did put IU OC and QB's coach in his Twitter bio. So, I mean, I don't know if it gets more official than that in this day and age. But if I'm Walt Bell, I am knocking down the door to get a transfer quarterback that can play the position well. Because if he comes into this current situation and it stays as it is, and you're looking at Jack Tuttle or Donovan McCulley, and your first year as OC when all the fans are wanting some explosive offense, it's going to be a tough year for Walt Bell. So I think he's got to go to the portal and get a quarterback.
I absolutely agree. Indiana needs a quarterback, especially after losing Josh Hoover. I really believe Hoover could have shocked some people and actually started next year. I just think that he had that doesn't mean he could have, but I think that he just had such a handle that he was ahead of the game on reading coverages. He just looks more comfortable throwing the ball. But of course, if you're not getting protection, nobody's going to be comfortable. So what's Indiana going to do about an offensive line, offensive protection? What happened there? Why did that just collapse with the same players from a year ago? I mean, that's one of the areas that to be honest with you, that's one of the areas that I'm talking about when I say I'm kind of curious that there hadn't been any changes. Because it was a horrible, horrible year for the offensive line, horribly bad. And so a little surprising that there wasn't a change there.
We've got some good recruits coming in, don't we? The offensive line is a big part of that best recruiting class in IU history for 2022, isn't it? So
yeah, but that's you take Josh Hoover off of that. That's going to take a little hit. Hopefully
and
there are no more decommitments.
How many of them decommit if Hiller is fired, do you think? Could that be factored in?
Absolutely. Even though Josh Hoover told me that the change at OC had nothing to do with his decision, I want to believe that. I just can't. It's hard to believe that when it came immediately afterwards.
But you look at it, and Indiana was.
Go ahead.
Indiana was his really only big offer, and being from he had a lot of Group of Five school offers, and then Indiana, and
not exactly bad.
No, he's not. And I think if they had redone his grade on Rivals, I think he might have earned a 4-star rating because he was putting up crazy numbers.
He was underrated there. I think part of that is because he's in Texas and you've got so many quarterbacks that are Quinn Ewers, You got a Quinn Ewers that you're playing against, people like that. But I agree. But I think that obviously TCU chatting had been going on for quite some time because
absolutely.
He decommits from IU and then sends out an announcement less than 10 minutes later committing to TCU. It was
maybe 2 minutes. Yeah.
So that was TCU was no dummy. They were watching what was going on in Bloomington and seeing, dude, they're telling him, is that where you want to go? Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
and Dykes went after him when he was on staff at SMU really hard. I know that was a school that really wanted him. And now when he can sell TCU's facilities and fan base to him and he can stay in state, I think that's a big, big draw. So I can't really blame Josh. I mean, if you're going to a school like TCU over a school like Indiana that just went 2-10, I mean, it's tough, but the kid's got to do what's best for him.
Yep, we'll certainly find out how this all shakes out. Got to make sure. Let's see. LSU starting quarterback and his brother, Max Johnson. Or Max Johnson's a starting quarterback, but his brother's a tight end who was a highly valued tight end in the portal at LSU after Brian Kelly. That's kind of odd. A starting quarterback, unless Brian Kelly has come down and told him, hey, kid, I don't like you or the way you play or whatever. But that was a little odd.
Surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
But that's
Brian Kelly's made some very questionable decisions, like firing that strength coach that was there since 2000. And strength coaches are usually the number one player coaches on staff. So I don't understand why you would do that when a majority of your roster probably admires and loves that guy. And then you just send him packing. Like that video of him packing up his car and hugging his players broke my heart. So Brian Kelly's got some guts.
Well, that's why he wins, and that's why LSU wanted him. No question there. And that's going to be the SEC is going to be an interesting place. Now you've got Brian Kelly at LSU. You've got Texas giving every offensive lineman $50,000 trying to keep up. And then you've got Oklahoma and, daggone it, the coach that just left.
Lincoln Riley?
Yeah, Lincoln Riley saying, I think I'm going to take a different direction. So Oklahoma now is like, so they've got to prepare to enter the SEC with a new coach. Well, by then he will have been there a couple of years, but but they've got to get their stuff in order, man. They've got to get their NIL juice in order because they I don't know that they have an idea what they're going into. But let me tell you, Auburn, LSU, those type of schools, they know how this system works. They've been doing this for a long time. They've been doing it for a long, long time. They already have the pipeways. They've got the back doors. They've got the tunnels. They've got it all, brother. And if you're coming into that league, you're coming in behind. There's no question.
I thought this was really funny, which is it popped in my brain for a little bit when we were talking about it.
Yeah, well, I just don't see the dough. Football just doesn't move the needle for Indiana fans.
No,
and
was.
Well, yeah, they had it going for a second, and to get that back, it was a moment in time that I think you have to capture and continue. And if you don't, it's going to be really, really difficult to get back because now you've got Michigan that is as strong, back to being as strong as ever. Well, that means Ohio State is just nothing but pissed off. So that means they're going to come roaring back. They just hired the best defensive coordinator in the country. You've got a Michigan State team that has looked okay under Mel Tucker, who just signed a gigantic, one of the biggest offers in college football now. You've got Penn State, who is not going away and regenerated. So And you've got a Rutgers program that is trying under Schiano. It's just not. They may have missed the opportunity this window. This may have been a horrible miss, and we'll see how it turns out. But hey, we got lots more coming up. We got to take a quick break. Listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Wednesday. We're back with more right after this.
All right.
Oh, do we have clips from Anthony Leo from yesterday?
I can get it. I can go on the YouTube.
Yeah, we should have. It's probably not that long, is it?
No, I'm not sure. I guess I could. Okay.
Well, you'll have to do it while we're back on. It's probably too hard to get now.
There was one thing that we didn't talk about. All three of us on sidebars tonight. That does not make sense.
What?
Alec has me, Matt, and him on sidebars for the Wisconsin game tonight.
What does that mean?
It's like there's a recap of what happened in the game, then there's sidebars where you pick an angle, and there's not really often three angles you can really pick from in a game. So I don't know, but
That makes it challenging. Then you got to find one.
Yep. Do you want to do the clips at the end after Bob and Rick talk? Because then while you guys are talking, I can kind of try to figure out.
Yeah, that gives you time to do that.
Okay. Because I think I should just be able to hit play on my computer and then the sound should come through. But I don't know if I'll be able to get the visuals on the screen. I can try. But video file, maybe I can.
We only got like 30 seconds, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, we're back in 15. Five, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you on this Wednesday, Hump Day. Hope you're having a good day. Jim Coyle with you as always. Derek Jackson off this week. He'll be back with us next week. We've got him on assignment. That's what they used to always say on TV. So when Charles Johnson is off tonight, he's on assignment. That's what they'd always say on TV news when someone would take off. Just tell him, say he's off. He's off. He's off tonight.
Mm-hmm.
They always felt like they had to give a reason. Why? You don't give a reason. It's none of your business. It was just funny. I always thought that was funny. Let's see. What was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah. How about the bump in recruiting Michigan's going to get now? And I'm not thinking it's going to swap because Ohio State's not going away anywhere. Which Walt Bell photo, Glenn? What photo are you talking about?
Is he talking about Darth Vader?
Oh, I did see that on his Twitter.
Yeah.
But Glenn's a Knowles fan and a friend of mine. He lives down in Florida or Tallahassee. Bell was at Florida State for what, 1 year?
I think so. He's there when DJ Matthews was there.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So that's why when I brought up that cryptic tweet that Matthews sent out, apparently it was about Walt Bell's hire. So
wow, that's not good.
No, that's what I said. If he hits the portal,
I didn't realize there was that connection.
Yeah,
that's a little.
So that's your most important offensive player that isn't happy. And if he leaves through the portal because of that hire, that's going to devastate Indiana. And it's going to be a lot of deja vu next season, in all honesty.
Yeah. And that tells a story, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We'll have to hold off. Like I said, I'm holding off judgment. But
which is good because you didn't do that with Sheridan, so that's a good sign.
There's no good signs there. I'm trying to find. Glenn, send it to me again. I don't know where you sent it. I've got too many ways of receiving messages and to look that up. But I will like to see what photo that is so I can get it to you. But yeah, that's if that is true. That's odd. Tim says, points out that how about Louisville, University of Louisville, hold a special meeting tonight. Thoughts are to fire AD Vince Tyra after reports he's going to Florida State. All started after he did not get the support to hire Jeff Brom. I
wonder who they wanted. I mean, they've got Norvell there, don't they?
As what?
As their head coach? Yeah.
No, Satterfield.
Satterfield?
Yeah, from App State.
They fired the Memphis guy that went there a couple of years ago?
Satterfield replaced Bobby Petrino.
Florida State.
Oh, no.
Oh, Louisville. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're AD Vince Tyra, who was hired after the debacle with Rick Pitino and daggone it. Can't think of the AD's name, but Vince Tyra has been mentioned to going to Florida State there, Glenn Rainey. So just because I guess they want to fire him now just because he's been talking to them. Well, if you've got an AD that's looking at another job, you should probably be looking to hire somebody else. I mean, that tells me that, hey, he's ready to go. So beat him to the punch.
Yeah.
He's not a U of L guy. He graduated from UK. On top of that, there's stuff that you look at schools. Tom Jurich, that's who I was talking about. But
I'll ask you this: if you're Jeff Brom, do you leave Purdue to go coach Louisville?
They didn't get him the first time. That's the thing that surprised me when he went to Purdue. I would have bet you anything that he was going to Louisville.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know if he didn't want to follow Bobby Petrino again, like he did at Western Kentucky, but this time in a mess. And Louisville was a mess. Not just in football. Louisville's a mess in sports. And just all the way around. They cannot get out of their own damn way. It's constant down there. Constant with the trouble in basketball. It doesn't matter who it is. Rick Pitino, you get him out and look. Now you got Chris Mack, and now you've got a former assistant coach trying to extort this, and Mack is doing secret recordings. What the hell's going on down there?
That happens when you hire someone from Xavier.
Why you say that?
I hate Xavier. I can't stand Xavier.
Well, yeah, but they've had a lot of great coaches.
But who was it before Chris Mack?
Oh, dude, come on.
I don't like Xavier, so I wouldn't really know about their history.
But they have a line of coaches. Let me tell you that. Xavier has done one of the best jobs, if not the best job, at replacing head basketball coaches as any school in the country. Butler would be second.
They've never made a Final Four, though.
I'm not saying that they're producing. They produce. Those coaches go on to other things. But when they replace that coach, they've always replaced them with another coach that goes on and that you know.
I don't understand why Xavier is a stepping stone job. Like that Centos Center in Norwood is extremely nice, and that campus is pretty nice, and they've got all the booster money in the world.
Oh yeah, my friend.
I don't see Louisville as a big step above Xavier, if that's what I'm trying to say. But
well, for one thing, his wife is from Louisville, but Louisville is a step above Xavier. Xavier's been successful lately, but for one thing, Louisville's in the ACC. Louisville's been to multiple Final Fours. They've won two national championships. So yeah, there's a difference there. Louisville's like Michigan State. They're not what I consider a blue blood, but they're in that level right there below that.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely up there as success in college basketball. No question there. But they're also up there as one of the schools that's in trouble all the time. So it kind of doesn't matter.
Thad Matta, Sean Miller, Chris Mack.
There you go. Yeah, look at that list. Read that list off. That's the thing that they did an unbelievable job replacing coaches. They have done as good a job as anybody in the country at replacing coaches. I mean, who has done a better job than that? Seriously. And look at the order in which they have done that. I mean, really. Can you think of another school that even has come close to doing something like that?
Not UCLA, because they had Alford, who did not do a great job.
Well, no, but he had some success there. But let's talk about Pete Gillen. All right. He kind of started off, then Skip Prosser. Where did he go? Pete Gillen left to go someplace. I wish it had that list in there. All right. So Pete Gillen, Skip Prosser. They replace him with Thad Matta. They replace him with Sean Miller. They replace him with Chris Mack. And now there's Travis Steele there. So Butler is done kind of very similar thing, and Thad Matta is on both of these lists. That's kind of, and now he's on Indiana's staff.
I know Steele was on staff at Xavier before he took over for Mack, and I wonder the line of coaching. I wonder if Mack was on staff and Sean Miller was on staff before he took over the head coaching job. Because I know that used to be basically the main pipeline for how people were hired, but it looks like people are going away from that outside of Duke and North Carolina.
Let's see. Butler. Let's go with Butler. All right, I'm going to go back to Barry Collier, who I think is either AD now or is it Todd Licklider?
I could not tell you, in all honesty.
But Barry Collier, he was 196 and 193 or 132 there, so he had a good run. Then there was Thad Matta, who I didn't realize he was only there for one season. I did not realize that.
Went to Ohio State.
No, then he went to Xavier.
Oh, Butler to Xavier. Okay.
So he goes from Butler to Xavier to Ohio State. Then he was replaced by Todd Licklider, who went 131 and 61 before he left for what he thought were better things. Now he's the head coach at Evansville. Let's see. Barry Collier is the current athletics director at Butler. So there you go. I was correct.
Did you look what Glenn just said in the comment section?
I did not.
you guys will hear a lot of "you are what you believe," and I feel like we had 3 coaches this year that would basically use the same coach speak with every press conference. So I'm really looking forward to hearing that all of next year, Mondays.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I think that they need is they've got to have some excitement from an OC. Mm-hmm. And you can't change a personality, but Nick Sheridan excitement is not in his wheelhouse. And not that you need to be all over the place, because I think that's absolutely you don't need to be, but you need to be you got to be a high energy guy.
Yeah.
And he was absolutely a very, very, very low energy guy.
And you can't show energy during the game when you're sitting in a press box.
Right. And I just, it needed a shake up. Did they get the shake up they needed? I don't know. I wish I could share this picture with you. Here we go. I'm going to share it. But all you can do is let him go out and do the deal. Mm-hmm. The thing is, he's going to get a season of non-judgment, at least from me. I mean, I'm not going to judge. I can't judge on what he's done in the past, because he's been one year at one time, but it was when he was at Florida State. Florida State sucked. Let's be honest. They weren't good.
Yeah.
Well, they were okay in 2017, but man, we're kind of jumping around here. Xavier plays Ball State tonight. Speaking of Ball State, I finally got to watch the David Letterman and Peyton Manning cast last night off of YouTube. I had missed that the other night. Was not as good as the one on Peyton's Places. If you have not seen that, and I'm not pushing them, that is one of the funniest. Those Peyton Places are all funny, first of all, but this one was the best. They're up at they go up to Ball State a year ago, and during football practice, and just it's Letterman and Manning sitting there talking, but they're just cracking jokes. Letterman is like just Letterman, and he's just hilarious. And so they're going through these different things of how Dave would change football. He'd like to change some rules in football, and one of them was raising the goalpost. That was the best one. They brought out a forklift, and so after each quarter they raised the goalpost like so much higher, and in the fourth quarter it was way the hell up there, and they had the guy Ball State kicking, but that was a funny episode. But I hate missing the Peyton cast, and it's not going to be back on now till like January something.
Probably for a playoff game. I hope they do playoff games at least, because I think ESPN gets a few.
Yeah, that would stink if they didn't. Let's see. Where are we in time? Well, we 3 minutes out before a break?
Yes.
Okay. I want to make sure.
2.5.
When we come in the next segment, we're going to preview Indiana at Wisconsin tonight as they head up to play at the Colts Center. And do they have what they need to break this streak now? Yeah. But does that mean it's going to happen? No. Because sometimes, and this group does not care that Indiana has not won there in forever, because they don't know. They don't care. Parker Stewart, doesn't know enough about Indiana basketball. Tamar Bates, I don't mean that in a bad way.
No,
Tamar Bates, because they're new. Tamar Bates doesn't know enough about Indiana basketball. Anthony Leo, yeah, he knows it. He's from Bloomington. He's heard it. Trey Galloway, he's not playing, but yeah, he would know it. I know that the players are aware of it. There's no way you don't with social media, but I don't think that that's what they're thinking about, because it's not on their back.
Yeah.
But they'd sure like to be the ones to stop that.
Yeah. I know Coach Woodson, he does not put a ton of stock into what the media says, kind of like Nick Saban with the rat poison. Because when we brought up the 2-3 zone in that press conference for Syracuse, he just shrugged his shoulders. And he's like, I mean, it is what it is. It's a 2-3 zone and we got to attack it. And then during the radio show on Monday, he said the media just kept on talking about that 2-3 zone. And then for the first time in the history of Boeheim, they switched it to a 1-3-1. So you can tell he's not really going to put a lot of stock into anything we have to say.
No. And that did happen, though. I mean, they did switch up on him. He did mention that and talk about that. But I say that over and over. That's one of the things I love about Woody. Man, he don't get rattled.
Mm-hmm.
We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Indiana at Wisconsin tonight. Rick Bozich and Bob Kravitz join us later. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with more right after this.
I got emails from Bob and Rich.
Oh man, please tell me that they're not
9:40 or 9:50.
What?
9:40 or 9:50
is the time that they come on, right?
Yeah. Bob just said he couldn't remember.
Yeah, see, those times screw everybody up.
Yeah. Sent by carrier pigeon.
What was?
That's what Rich. It's what
Rick?
His email says. Rick
Yeah. Bozich?
Yes. His email says Richard Bozich. So I just read what was there. But his email was noted with sent by carrier pigeon below the message.
Got you.
Kevin's still asleep?
Oh, probably. He's sick. Well, as I said, yeah. I was planning on going to Wisconsin, man. I was going to last second. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to Wisconsin. I'll do the post-game show from the Coast Center, and then next morning I'll do the show from up there. And then, damn it, he is not going. So,
were you going to drive or fly?
Oh, just drive. It's only, you get there in like 5 hours.
Oh, I thought it was like seven or 8.
No. Could have sent your ass up there.
If it was on a weekend, I probably would have gone.
Damn, we have nobody there. That sucks. That's got to change. That's why, like I said, let me know which ones, because I will go. I'll start. You are what you believe.
I just think of Coach Allen. It all starts up front. Buck stops with me. All that stuff he always says.
All the cliche stuff.
Yeah, coach speak.
Where are you going, Glenn?
Wisconsin.
Oh, well, come on. You're in freaking Tallahassee. Why the hell would you go to Wisconsin? I wish I was in Tallahassee. I'd rather be in Tallahassee.
You are what you believe. That's funny. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2.
And welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Wednesday from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. Hope you're doing well. Keegan Nicholson sitting in with me right now from thehoosier.com. Indiana traveling to Wisconsin tonight. We'll talk to Rick Bozich and Bob Kravitz in the next segment. Indiana on the road to Madison, Wisconsin. We've talked about this ad nauseum. It's ridiculous that I'll just be straight up. It's ridiculous that a program like Indiana has a streak against anyone like this. It just should not be. It just shouldn't be. But it is what it is. And actually, the reason it makes it even funnier is because on the other side of that, prior to, Indiana ran off a streak like that. I think Indiana beat Wisconsin like 31 straight times. 31 straight times. Now that's just dominant.
Yeah.
That's 15 years of beating your ass. 15 years. That's 4 different whole groups of graduate classes, or almost three plus. But we'll see. We shall see. Tonight, Indiana at Wisconsin. Keegan, Indiana's got to hit shots, number one. But they've got to take care of the ball. Their biggest problem of late has been turning the ball over. Syracuse, 33 points off of Indiana's turnovers. 33 points. That is one of the biggest numbers I remember seeing. Now, it's not the biggest number ever, but that's one of the biggest numbers I've ever seen personally. You don't see 33 points off of turnovers, man. 24, that's kind of up there. You get in the 30s, most college games scores are in the 70s, low to mid 70s. So you get into the 30s of points off of turnovers, that's almost half of your offensive production on average.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely crazy. Cannot win a game like that. And yet Indiana damn near won that game.
Yeah. And that's what I've been saying. A lot of people were saying, if you cut those turnover numbers in half, we win that game. And I was thinking, you don't even have to cut it in half. If you commit 4 less, that's how impressive that game was, that they were even that close. So if you commit 4 less turnovers, that's a win right there. So I'm excited. I think this is their actual first opportunity to make an impression on the country. St. John's was a decent one. You were expected to beat Syracuse. So even if you did, that's not a great win, but if you can knock off a ranked Wisconsin team on the road, that's what's going to make waves and probably be in the AP pool next week. So,
winning on the road, that's winning at a place you haven't won at. That's going to make waves. That in and of itself will be the biggest point of topic, except for the reason Indiana won. Whoever, if it's Trace Jackson Davis. If it's Race Thompson.
Race Thompson's going to be the linchpin. Yeah.
In a game like this, I was getting ready to say, Wisconsin is a team that they're older. Their players are older. Their average age is like 20, almost 23 years old, which in college, that's older. Because look at who's Indiana's leading players? Trace Jackson Davis. Well, what is he, 20 maybe?
Yeah, I think around there, 21.
Tamar Bates is a freshman.
18, maybe.
Christian Lander is still young. Race Thompson, he's probably a year older than Trace, I think. I can't remember. And Miller Kopp. But they're all like 20 and under on Indiana. So age matters. Trust me, it matters. And especially with the Wisconsin team that plays this deliberate thinking, mental, cerebral type of basketball. They make you think, they make you work defensively. They slow you down and try to take you out of your game. Indiana is going to have to impose their will on that. So that's how I see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Brad Davison's going to be a key. I know Anthony Leal was really, really complimentary of him in his press conference yesterday, just how hard he plays, how he's all over the floor, and how he's been there so long. So I think Brad Davison's going to have to be stopped. But if Race has a Syracuse-like performance where he turns the ball over and doesn't look comfortable, that Assembly Hall kind of reliance that people talk about how they play better at Assembly Hall, that's officially probably going to be on the table consistently. So it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, and to get out of there with a win would be spectacular. But I think it's going to be it should be a good game. But it's all going to come down to can Indiana hit shots in this building? Can they handle this crowd? This crowd is going to be much different than Syracuse. Syracuse was in the Carrier Dome. It's not as intimate as the Kohl Center.
Not at all.
Or any other place for that matter. So they're going to get their first taste of screw you, go back to Bloomington. How do they handle that? Does that affect their game? And that's a lot of the good thing is you've got Miller Kopp. He's been there. Race Thompson has been there. Trace Jackson Davis has been there. Xavier Johnson has not been there. He's been to enough places. It doesn't matter. He played in the ACC. He's been to Duke. He's been to North Carolina. He's been to these tough places to play that are probably some actually as tough or tougher, like I just mentioned. So that's not going to be an issue, but can they just keep their wits and stay within their game that they have to do on the road in that environment? And that's going to be their first test tonight.
Mm-hmm. Don't press. And I think Woodson's going to give them a lot of confidence. So do you know what the line is off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, no, I do not. I can find the line in a very quick second, though.
I think it's 4 for Wisconsin.
But Wisconsin is 5 left points out, aggressively tried to double and try to cause turnovers from Trace and Race because they saw Syracuse get 13 out of them in that game. 13 turnovers out of that game from that pair. 7 of those belong to Trace Jackson Davis. The next game, he has 4 more turnovers. He's got to cut his turnovers down.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you respond to that while I get the
Yeah, I think it's just going to be about settling in. I mean, everybody looked really kind of shaky at the start of the Syracuse game, and then it looked like they started to find their confidence in the second half. So I think it's going to be if they're within 7 or 8 points at halftime, that Coach Woodson halftime address that's been working all season, I think is going to pull them over. So the first half is going to be extremely important if they can settle in and kind of get their composure and stay within striking distance and then take care of his business in the second half.
The spread is Indiana is a 4.5-point underdog. Not a lot.
No.
Surprising a little bit. Number 22, Wisconsin, also 7-1. Tonight, also in the Big Ten at 9, Indiana's a 7:00 game. But at 9, you won't want to watch the start of that because you'll be listening to the postgame show with Charlie Miller, trying to bring some luck. He was on the squad that beat last beat Wisconsin up there. Michigan State travels to Minnesota. 7-2 Michigan State Spartan team. They're a 7.5-point favorite over a 7-0 Minnesota team. Huh. Imagine that. Minnesota 7-0. It's a little surprising under a first-year coach.
Yeah. I think Michigan State's had a start, but
What's that?
I think Michigan State's had a little bit of a rocky start, but I think
they're 7-2, but they're playing a lot better. The Buckeyes of Ohio State are hosting Towson, where they're a 15.5-point favorite. Number 11, Arizona, host the Wyoming Cowboys. Number 24, BYU, hosts Utah State. The number 20, Florida Gators, hosting the Ospreys of North Florida. Hoping they don't, and they're a 26.5-point favorite. Boy, hope they don't lose this game. Who they just lose to?
Who was that?
Florida.
Florida.
They were just upset by it was a major
Texas
upset.
Southern.
Yeah.
Who was winless.
Number 15, UConn travels to 7-1 West Virginia. West Virginia, 1.5-point favorite. Ooh, that ought to be a game right there. There's a game to watch.
I'm looking forward to watching that one.
So, yeah, me too. But looking more forward to Indiana and Wisconsin tonight. I'd preferred to have been there, but not going to be able to make the trip after all. Unfortunately, my ride mate got sick. So sometimes you just got to deal with that. But, yeah, I haven't watched Wisconsin a lot this year, but you don't have to watch them a lot. Greg Gard is they play the same way they've been playing. They do the same things they've been doing. They do them well. That's what Wisconsin does, or they don't win. And let's see that. Oh, Music Man said probably. I thought he said he knew who they were, but no. Teddy V Teddy V's out of the Big Ten, I believe. He's out of the Big Ten, and he was out of the ACC. I'm not sure where all he is now, but I'm just looking. Mark Turgeon, of course, leaves Maryland. You got a Maryland team that now has Danny Manning as coach as the Big Ten season starts. Probably, I don't know what the effect that would have on them. How about Gonzaga getting beat the other day by Alabama?
Gonzaga is polarizing. I mean, I think Chet Holmgren was the favorite for the Wooden Award, but I know Trace Jackson Davis's odds for that have gone down from plus 3,000 to plus 2,000 in the last week or 2 weeks. So,
well, you keep putting up those kind of numbers. If he can do that during the Big Ten season, that's going to be now he's not going to be putting up 30 points a game in a Big Ten game. Don't be crazy. But if you continue to put up and Race Thompson is putting up numbers, people. Race Thompson's putting up doubles a lot. That's not going unnoticed. And he's trying to develop a shot. You know who I compare him to, who he reminds me of, and I was talking about this the other at Woody's coach's show the other night to JD Campbell, the SID, and someone else. I said, you know who Race reminds me in a way of Juwan Morgan, in that I did not see Juwan Morgan having a path to the NBA until the very end, and he worked his ass off, and he's really, really worked on his perimeter shot. I remember watching him work out up at the Pacers, and he kept working. He gets picked up by Utah, and the man worked his way into the NBA. I see that for Race Thompson. Race is trying to get that perimeter shot going a little bit. Just needs a little more of that, but otherwise, he's got the beef to battle down below, to grab rebounds, to hold them, to rip them away, and is doing that in large numbers. I now see a potential path to the NBA for Race Thompson.
Yeah, the combination of that post game. I know he likes those floaters from around the free throw line a good amount, and I know he took advantage of that when Syracuse would give him that open look in the zone. So the combination of that post game, and if he can get that 3-point shot, that's going to be good, because I know how aggressive he plays and how kind of reliable he is as a leader. So Juwan Morgan's currently in the G League with the Maine Celtics.
Oh, he got traded to the Celtics. That's right.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if he's probably on a 2-way contract.
Probably.
But be interesting to see if and when he gets called up. That would be interesting to see him and Romeo on the roster at the same time. Ironic. Very ironic. But he's a guy who worked his way up, though. He's someone who I never thought had a shot at that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But bigger things to handle, like I said, Indiana, Wisconsin tonight. What does Wisconsin bring to the table?
I'm not exactly sure. I need to talk to Alec about that on preparation, but I know they, like you said, they bring a veteran lineup of a lot of experience.
Well, there's definitely that, and not just a veteran experience. They have played a schedule this year where they beat Green Bay 72-34 to start. That was the second game of the season. They beat St. Francis 81-58. Then they lose to Providence 63-58. They beat Texas A&M 69-58. They beat a number 14 Houston team. And that was in a tournament, I believe, in one of those tournaments, 65-63. They beat St. Mary's, who was a good squad, 61-55. They beat Georgia Tech, 70-66. And in their last outing, they handled with Marquette easily, 89-76.
Mm-hmm. And they beat Georgia Tech as well. And I think that was supposed to be a close game. They went on the road there and did that.
76 on the road, yeah. So they've gotten toughened up. You know, you beat that Houston team, that's a good team to beat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was on a neutral floor, but it doesn't matter. So they were ranked 14 at the time. Wisconsin's taking care of business and just getting better. That's what they usually do. But we'll see how that goes tonight. Hey, we got plenty more coming up. Bob Kravitz, Rick Bozich. That's like a Christmas present every week. Back with more right after this. Hello, Bob Kravitz.
Well, hey, Keegan, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, Mr. Bozich. How are you?
I'm good. I'm on the athletic director alert watch.
Oh, I'll bet.
The latest Louisville saga.
Yeah, I was just talking about that. Is there talk that people wanting to fire him now just because he's looking at that job?
I don't know if there's talk by anybody substantial. There might be radio talk. I don't know.
Oh,
it's never a dull moment here.
No, that is for sure. That's a conundrum. Louisville or Florida State?
I don't see what the attraction is to Florida State for a guy who grew up in Louisville and his dad's one of the all-time great players at the University of Louisville. You go down there, they hate the football coach already. And, they're serious about football.
Yep.
I feel like I need to go put a hat on. The only one without a hat.
Mine's just.
Well, you got hair, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got.
Oh, Bozich is still doing well too. So
I got a little.
Yeah, me not so much.
You like the sticker under the bill?
I just haven't too lazy to take it off. I didn't know.
I thought you were making a fashion statement or
That's
something.
not a gang sign or anything, is it?
Man, I can't believe Keegan caught that.
Are you supposed to leave them or take them off? You can. I'll take advice to the younger, more fashion-forward generation.
Are you trying to make a statement?
No, I usually just have it up on the
I'm a lazy person. That's a statement.
Usually you take it off.
Okay.
Unless you're trying to make a statement, which you very well could be.
I'm kind of a statement-making guy. We'll see if the Hoosiers can make a statement tonight.
Yeah.
What's everybody's thoughts on the new offensive coordinator?
He is the most lukewarm hire in history of coaches, I think.
I agree.
I can't say anything bad other than look at statistics. And so I'm like, well, I can't say anything bad that it was a bad hire until a year from now. Whereas when they hired Nick Sheridan, I said that was a horrible hire. Just felt it, knew it at the time. This time I'm like, I don't know. I think that it's all that they could get.
Really? They had tried for the Western Kentucky guy, or at least inquired, I heard.
Back in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat commentary here on this Wednesday. It is Hump Day, and no better way to get you through than Bob Kravitz and Rick Bozich. So they join us now, Hall of Famer. Rick, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good down here in lovely Louisville, where there's never a dull moment. We're on athletic director watch duty. So if I get a text message in the next 5 minutes, you'll understand why.
Yeah, you'll be like Schefter. You'll be checking your phone, running, writing your story. It'll be great.
Who do you want to send it to?
See, Siri's asking me who I want to send a text.
Is Chris Mack back from his suspension yet?
Yeah, he's coached 2 games. They lost to Michigan State, and then they beat NC State on Saturday, and he's coaching his first home game Friday night against the DePaul Blue Demons.
So they've got that going for them. Since we've last spoken, Indiana has hired Walt Bell as its offensive coordinator for football, and it has been the most lukewarm hire that I've had for a coach in quite a while. It's I can't, like I said off the air, I can't say anything bad. I can just look at statistics. His record as a head coach certainly does not leave a lot of warm and fuzzies for you, but a lot of OCs were not great head coaches. I always use Cam Cameron as an example of someone who was great in the role of OC, but did not succeed as a head coach. But Walt Bell was probably not the first name on their list. But this is, man, at this time, these coaches are going everywhere. The changes that are happening are nuts right now. It's crazy. This could be, and it is probably the craziest time ever, because the money that's being offered, these $80-90 million contracts that are going out, this is the craziest time. And you got this name, image, likeness, which is no longer name, image, likeness, because every scholarship offensive lineman at Texas getting $50,000, that's not name, image, likeness. And to me, seriously, it's not.
It's a scam.
It doesn't even matter. It is. It's an inducement. And it goes against the very rule that they put up. So college sports is over as we knew it 2 years ago, which kind of sucks. I'll be honest with you, Bob.
Well, you know what I find interesting is all these mega contracts going out to coaches just 1 year after the pandemic put everybody on edge in terms of finances. And, you know, they had a lot of schools cut quote unquote minor sports or non-revenue producing sports. And now all of a sudden,
how many employees?
First question, Dustin.
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't understand where this money is coming from. Well, I do know where the money is coming from, but I just find it kind of distasteful.
You, Bob?
What's that?
Tell us. Is it you? You can tell us.
No. Now, if we build a hockey arena at Indiana University, it will be the Kravitz Coliseum. I'm just saying. Fred Glass once told me, I said, how come we don't have a hockey team? He said, if you write me a check for about $80 million, we'll build you an arena. So I'm saving my cash.
80 million. Holy. Well, you know what? They need a new assembly hall.
I agree.
They could have taken that 40 million and then you could have given them 40 million only, and it wouldn't have cost you 80. It just would have cost you 40. And then there's your Kravitz Coliseum. And it's a hell of a lot easier to spell Kravitz than it is Simon Skjodt.
Skjodt. Wow. Oh man. Not a lot easier, honestly, but yeah, I am not look, I went to college at IU. I was in that arena a million times. I think it's done. I mean, they need to blow that sucker up. What do you think, Rick? Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think they should have built a new arena instead of the renovation really didn't add that much to it. The luxury suites or whatever, those are not even good seats. I don't even know why you'd want to sit there. And there's so many. I mean, the balcony, nobody wants to sit in the balcony. And even if you sit in the Yellow arena up high, it's not good. And it's just not a great basketball arena for viewers unless you've got some of the better seats. So yeah, they should have built a new one. But now that they've renovated it and they got Zeller and Oladipo to donate money to redo the locker rooms, I don't see that happening for a long time.
Nor do I.
Sad. Walt Bell is named the new offensive coordinator, like I said, at Indiana, and very lukewarm, so much so that Josh Hoover, the prized football quarterback recruit, not shortly thereafter announced that he was decommitting, and then within 10 minutes he committed to TCU. And I talked to Josh, and he said that the OC didn't have any bearing on that. And it's kind of hard to believe that when it came right after. And Nick Sheridan was the guy who was recruiting Josh, who knew that. So, but that's a major loss to Indiana, in my opinion. I think this kid is going to be a hell of a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he's got good credentials, but you couldn't keep Nick Sheridan as the offensive coordinator just because of Josh Hoover.
Oh, no, I wouldn't suggest that.
But I agree with you. I mean, the Walt Bell hire, if you look at some of his numbers, makes you pause and say, is he really the guy to fix Indiana's offense? Is he going to be a Kevin Wilson type guy who could do things to get points out of an offense that had inferior talent? And I don't worry about what happened at UMass, because UMass is probably the worst job in FBS football. They used to be an FCS team, and they can't compete at the level they're at. But his numbers at Florida State, where he was the OC for a year, and then Willie Taggart got fired, and his numbers before that for 2 seasons, where he was, I believe, where was he at the 2 seasons before that?
Who's that?
Between Arkansas State and Florida State, he was somewhere for 2 seasons, and his numbers weren't that great there. So it makes you wonder, whether he can get the job done.
Yeah, and in Florida State, well, that was kind of a weird time for them when he was there. It was 2017, I think, when he was there. So
2018, he was there.
Was Francois hurt at that time?
I think he was the quarterback, but he didn't play that well.
So, and then that's under, of course, Walt Bell,
Right.
who was the quarterback's coach, will be the quarterback's coach, and where Indiana saw a lot of fall off as well. So now you've got to look at Indiana needs a quarterback. They have to hit the portal, Bob. I know that they have Jack Tuttle and Donovan McCulley, but I'm not convinced that either of those guys are the guy. You've got to get Donovan McCulley in the seasons. There you go.
He was at Maryland for 2 seasons.
I don't know. You don't think that Donovan McCulley is the guy moving forward?
I do.
Yeah, I do too. I look, he didn't do much of anything this year, but I mean, hell, he wasn't expected to do much of anything this year. I think moving forward, they're going to be okay with McCulley. I mean,
if he can throw the ball, and of course he has to be protected, and maybe a different coach is going to help with that. But his passing game really lacked this year, and you saw that when you brought in Grant Gremmel, the walk-on, who had more success throwing the ball. Now he can't run the ball like Donovan, but so there has to be improvement
until they fix the offensive line. I mean,
exactly.
But McVay or Cliff Kingsbury or whatever in charge of the offense, and it's not going to be very productive. I don't think they got to get better players on the offensive line, and I think they need a new coach on the offensive line. I mean, Darren Hiller's been there for 3 or 4 years, and the guy who preceded him, who I think was that Greg Fry. I mean, they developed Feeney and Knight and Jason Spriggs and these dudes, and
NFL players.
Their offensive line isn't getting it done. I mean, that I don't understand why a move hasn't been made there. Maybe it'll be made after signing day, because I think a lot of schools don't like to change coaches before signing day because guys have relationships with assistant coaches. But I think it's fair to ask, why more changes haven't been made on offense.
Yeah, I'm very curious as that, Bob. I would have thought that. My only think is that or what Rick just said, and giving a little rope to the new offensive coordinator, where they don't do that on defense, because Tom Allen's a defensive guy, and when Charlton Warren came in, basically he was told, hey, you're going to run this defense, and here's your guys, your coaches. On offense, I think that Tom Allen's a little more hands off because he's not an offensive guy, so he may give him a little more rope, but I'm a little surprised that they didn't make the move already at the O-line, but what Rick said makes complete sense, because what happened with Josh Hoover, you don't want that happening again.
Right. No, I tend to think that coaches, assistant coaches, are a little bit overrated. I mean, look, if you don't have an offensive line and Freifogel's not playing well, and you're not getting, you're down to a bunch of walk-ons in the backfield, I'm not sure that Vince Lombardi could have done anything with that group, to be honest with you. So, I mean, look, yeah, I agree. They needed to change at OC. They need to change as the offensive line coach. But man, it's all about recruiting. It's all about getting the right guys in there, and that's about as far as it goes.
And a good friend of mine actually used to work with me at WLKY in Louisville, Rick, says you will hear this a lot. You are what you believe from the new OC. Glenn's down in Florida State now, down in Tallahassee, so he's some experience with there. You are what you believe is going to be the new mantra.
Well, I believe I'm 6'4", 210. So, so that doesn't exactly. That's not exactly right.
Well, they're starting out with the wrong way, man. Starting out on the wrong step. Indiana travels to Wisconsin tonight, Rick, a place that has been like a tomb for them for quite some time after owning Wisconsin for some 15 years. There's just been a lid on that place. Indiana has lost games in overtime, and it's just a weird thing. But a program like Indiana should not have a streak like this against anybody.
I agree 1,000%. Bob and I are old enough to remember when it looked like a misprint if you said that Indiana lost to Wisconsin or Northwestern. I mean, there were like a decade-long stretch where they didn't lose to them. You know, for the most part over these it's since 98, right? Wisconsin's just been better. I mean, Bo Ryan was there, and he established a program, and I think Indiana got to the point where they were beaten before they even went in there, and they were inside the heads of the players and some of the coaches. And yeah, some of the games have been close, but some of them haven't been that close. And Wisconsin this year they had that early loss to Providence, and kind of they lost a bunch of players from last season. They weren't supposed to be one of the better teams in the Big Ten, but at this point they're looking like, you know, one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the Big Ten.
And last night we saw a Michigan team take on Nebraska that Indiana just played, and Michigan just absolutely throttled Nebraska at home.
5 minutes.
Like 70, maybe 74 to 104. I can't remember the score, but Michigan scored 104 or something, and it was 69. And now their coach did say that he's never had a team quit on him like that, but that's a team that Indiana just played, and they played Indiana tough at home. I don't know if that's an indication on how far Indiana has still to go, probably, and Michigan is further ahead, but we'll get an indication tonight. Indiana is playing a true road game. Syracuse is a road game, but the Carrier Dome is not that intimate. The Kohl Center, much more intimate situation.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of concerning signs looking at scores. You look at the way Michigan blasted Nebraska at Nebraska. Syracuse went into the Garden and got beat by Villanova by double figures. And a few weeks ago, I was last week or over the weekend, I think it was, the St. John's team that played Indiana down to a 1 or 2 point game played Kansas up in New York, and Kansas beat them by 20. Mm-hmm. So if you're into the comparative score things, there's some reason to wonder about how good Indiana is. You know, they played better after the first 7 or 8 minutes against Nebraska. But what's concerning about that is they also had a slow start against Syracuse, and they also had a bunch of slow starts last season. So Mike Woodson has to be concerned about that and find some way to fix it, whether it's a change in the starting lineup or whatever. They need to start better, because against good teams, if you fall behind by 10, 14 points, you're not coming back.
Yeah, Miller Kopp has been one of those starters who hasn't seemed to produce a lot. I'm not saying he's not helping in other ways, but he hasn't produced as much as I thought that he would. And he's someone that maybe could come off the bench. I'm not sure. Tamar Bates has been a great spark off the bench for Indiana. And I'm not saying that you should maybe change that, because it's great to have that. You've got to have that second wave, what he talks about, and he likes to put a second unit in, and he wants them to play. And so you've got to have guys that you can't have too much fall off, but I'm thinking maybe Miller Kopp can be one of those guys that's traded out for someone, since they're not getting a lot of production there anyway. Bob?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, I love Tamar Bates' game. You know who I've really come to like is Parker Stewart. Every time he shoots the ball, I think that sucker's going in. You know,
well, it's because you're half right.
I'm half right, you know, which is good for me. Good half right. But I really like Parker Stewart. I think Kopp is going to be useful at some point. He has a shooting stroke that would suggest he'd be able to make a decent percentage of them. But I see him as more of a bench guy, being kind of a designated shooter off the bench for sure. I think Indiana is who we thought they would be. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. They're going to be in the middle of the Big Ten, I would suspect, and they're going to have a chance to make the tournament. And I don't think they've been, overwhelmingly, surprisingly good. I don't think they've been bad. I just think they are who we thought they would be, to quote Dennis Green.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bates is going to be a good player. At some point, he'll move into the lineup. I think the guy that they really need to get going even more is Xavier Johnson, and he can't be getting into foul trouble in every game.
Yeah, he's got to be able to stay on the floor.
Clearly their best point guard. When he goes out of the game, the offense, in my mind, bogs down. Finney still doesn't play with that like edge that Xavier Johnson plays with. He's tentative. The offense kind of bogs down. There's too much. It's too much like East and West instead of North and South. And I'd also like to see Anthony Leal get more time.
Yes, he was good the other night.
He looked good against Nebraska. He can make shots. He doesn't do dumb things. Maybe he's got some deficiencies on defense, but at least it seems like he's committed to playing defense. And I'd like to see him get more time going forward. And a game like this tonight, I think is really big for them, because that's one of the things. Beating a decent team on the road is one of the things they need to do to grow the program.
Yes.
I think over the last couple of years of Archie, when Indiana went on the road, they had that one win at Michigan State. But other than that, not really any wins on the road that you say, yeah, that's a nice win. And that's a step that you have to take to get your program better.
Absolutely. Looking at some of the numbers that jump out at me, Indiana shooting as a team, 37% from the 3-point arc, which that is staggering for Indiana fans to look at after the last few years. And you mentioned Parker Stewart. That's why I said you were half right, because he's nearly shooting 50%, Bob. 21 of 44. And that's just tremendous, because he's taken the most 3-point shots of anybody on the team. So if your leading shooter is having your leading percentage, that's a pretty damn good thing. And free throw shooting, their free throw shooting is at 70%. So that's where it needs to be. Rick, you mentioned the fouls. Xavier Johnson has had the most fouls on the team this year, 25 fouls total in 8 games, comes out to 3 fouls per game. Second behind him is Parker Stewart. So you got your guards that are kind of getting into foul trouble, which we saw in that Syracuse game, which really, really bit them in the butt. So is that just not being in the right position, or because I know Xavier Johnson is quick enough, is just not just making dumb plays? Some of those fouls are away from the basket, I know, are really dumb.
Go ahead, Bob.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, if you're going to go anywhere in college basketball, especially in the tournament, you need exceedingly good guard play. And that's clearly and continues to be clearly where Indiana is lacking. Rob Finney, if he hasn't gotten it by now, he's never going to get it. I mean, he's a nice kid and he's got a decent game, but he just doesn't have that edge. Xavier Johnson's got that edge, but he's got a little too much edge, and I think he turns the ball over, he commits fouls. And that's why I just don't see Indiana, taking that next step toward, maybe the upper reaches of the Big Ten because of their guard play.
Yeah, and I think Mike Woodson understands that, because if you look at the recruiting coming in for next year's class, who's the crown jewel? It's Jalen Hood-Scafino, who's a point guard and a bigger point guard. And then you also have CJ Gunn, another guard, a shooting guard from Indianapolis. Then he's already got 2 commitments in the class of 23. Once again, both guards. The kid Newton from Atlanta, who's sort of a combo guard, and the kid Cups from the Dayton area, who is sort of a leader, a guy. He's a point guard who can't shoot and score, but he's got 4 guards coming in, because I think Mike Woodson and Dane Fife and the rest of the coaching staff knows they got to upgrade the talent at guard, and that's how you win in college basketball. they got 7 guards on this team, and I think they need to figure out, who are the 4 guys we're going to ride with and play them. And, at this point, overall, their guard talent is going to hold them back, I think, from being a really elite team, but it will decide whether they make the tournament or not. I agree with Bob. They're the middle of the pack in the Big Ten, and they're probably going to be a bubble team, and it's going to come down to late in the year whether they make the tournament or not.
Yep.
And a win at a place like Wisconsin will help that. Losing in Syracuse didn't help, but they'll have plenty of opportunities to win on the road going forward in the Big Ten. Bob, I know you cover the Pacers a lot, and a lot of talk about them in a rebuild mode already here as the early part of the season, as they've not gotten off to the start that they'd like to get off to. But names like Karis LeVert, Miles Turner, Sabonis, that could possibly be on the trade block. That's a little surprising to hear.
First, you can call me Scoop. It's my once a decade scoop. Yes, they have decided that they are going to rebuild this sucker, and I think it's not a moment too soon. I think they wanted to see how they did during this homestand. They have a 6-game homestand, and I know that Kevin Pritchard and the front office and Rick Carlisle wanted to see how they did during this 6-game stretch. It started out poorly with 2 losses. They beat Washington, but they have reached the conclusion that it's time to blow this thing up. And it may not happen immediately, but by the trade deadline in February, there is every reason to believe that Karis LeVert will not be here. One of the 2 bigs will not be here, and maybe more guys. They have finally convinced Herb Simon, after several false starts, that they need to retool, rebuild, whatever word you want to use. It's time, because this group is going nowhere.
Yeah, I was surprised that this early to see that because last year there was a lot of hope and with bringing him in, but new coach and same old deal.
Yeah, so, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. I mean, you brought in, you can't blame it on the coach anymore. They blamed it on Nate McMillan. They blamed it on Nate Bjorkgren. You can't blame it on Rick Carlisle. Not everything Rick does is brilliant, but look, he's got a ring. He's one of the most respected coaches in the league. And if you can't win with him, then it's time to look in your locker room and say, what can we do to improve our team, to improve it internally? Part of the problem with the Pacers right now is going forward, they don't really know who their core is. And I think they need to sort of rebuild the core at this point. So it'll be interesting to see what they're able to get on the open market. They're going to be talking to teams who feel like they're one player away. I think a lot of teams could use a Sabonis, 2-time All-Star. I think Miles Turner is a terrific player as the 5th option, but a defensive stalwart and rim protector for a team that's close. So we'll see what Kevin can pull off.
Let's see what I was going to. Ohio State, Rick. The rich get richer. I saw that they have now hired Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State. Right. They led the country in virtually every defensive category that of relevance. So they now have him, Kevin Wilson, Ryan Day in that tripod. And it's Michigan's fault. This is Michigan's fault, but it's an arms race now there. And I talked about earlier with Texas going into the SEC and having that deal for the offensive linemen, because that's the only way they're going to compete. And if you're not cheating, if you go into the SEC, buddy, you better have your guns cocked and loaded. Oklahoma is kind of behind the deal with Lincoln Riley heading out. He's maybe you saw the writing on the wall, but Ohio State, man, that's going to make them a strong unit with Jim Knowles over there.
Yeah, all it takes is one loss a decade against Michigan. They go crazy. I think they look and see that they, after Georgia got beat by Alabama, that they just blew a great chance to win a national championship. And for them to see Michigan in the playoffs instead of them, they're not. That's what happens when you're obsessed with football. I mean, Didn't Ryan Day demote the defensive coordinator after like the second or third after they lost to Oregon. He took away the play calling from the defensive coordinator and had an interim guy. So they're not going to wait around. But even they are dealing with some turmoil. They've already had that 2 quarterbacks who've gone in the transfer portal, including the one kid came there to Texas and only played 2 snaps and had a huge NIL deal. I mean, he came in there to skip the senior year of high school and made some money, and now he's putting himself out there for where he can get the best NIL deal in Texas, whether it's to go to the Longhorns or go to Texas.
I thought he was going to Texas Tech.
It's not official yet. Some people think he's going to go. Sarkisian's making a big push for him to go to Texas. So, yeah, it's not official.
Well, every time we talk about college football, I feel like we need to shower afterwards.
What about the whole fiasco at Miami where they strung Manny Diaz out for all these days, and then they're paying him, like $7 million to go away. They paid Cristobal's buyout at Oregon. They're giving him $7 or $8 million to come coach the team. What's he ever done? I mean, he's not Nick Saban, or he's not even Brian Kelly. I mean, he might be good there. They hired him. I don't know. It's insanity.
Yeah, I wish somebody would pay me like, I don't know, $100 grand to go away. I'm gone.
I keep saying that. I say that every day. I can't believe it hasn't happened.
Let's start passing the hat to get rid of Jim.
I'm telling you, I'm like, I can't believe it. I'm saying, surely, gosh, somebody wants me to go away. Some ironies. I talked about the OSU hire. Fresno State, Jeff Tedford, back at head coach. That's the head coach that left and caused the vacuum of Kalen DeBoer to go back out there. You would probably have Kalen DeBoer still here right now. He would probably be leaving this year, though, with all the coaching turmoil out there, because he was just too good. But you probably would have had him the last couple of years, and now you'd be starting mediocrity for IU football. So I don't know which is worse, but just kind of ironic. Then the LSU starting quarterback and his brother, who was a high-ranking tight end, in the portal after Brian Kelly goes to LSU. That's odd for your starting quarterback to leave, unless Brian Kelly had just said, dude, I don't like your style. We're going to do this and whatever, but it's just kind of odd.
Yeah, maybe he did some intel from other, places and said, you don't really want to play for Kelly. Kelly, although he was very successful at Notre Dame, I mean, has he put any guys in the NFL? I mean, Ian Book was okay, but is he a backup maybe in the NFL? It's not like Kelly has this track record of producing great quarterbacks.
True. But he does have a really cool Southern accent, doesn't he? That was the most pathetic, fraudulent thing I have ever seen in my life. Yeah. I'm just surprised he didn't roll out any y'alls.
Yeah, he showed up in Baton Rouge, and now he's Huey Long, man.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's got to be one of the funniest things. And someone tweeted a video of him talking about family up at Notre Dame right before that, and how he says family and then family. I'm like, dang, it sounds like my family down in North Carolina now.
It's interesting though. Like, I think only one of his coaches at Notre Dame has chosen to go with him.
Right. Tommy Rees decided to stay back. Yeah. Brian Polian.
I think that says a lot. They'd rather stay at Notre Dame with the players that they have relationships with and work for Marcus Freeman than go to LSU, where Brian Kelly. That's a questionable hire too, in my opinion.
You definitely have to take a shower when you go to LSU. At WDRB.com, I know you've got a piece up about Purdue as they reached number 1 for the first time in the program's 100 and however many years they've been playing basketball. They were finally number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I just give Matt Painter credit. In a world where most of the top programs have one and dones, all these 5-star dudes, transfer portal guys. He has no players in the transfer portal. He's got no 5-stars. He's got no one and dones, and I know Ivy might go after his second year. I think I wrote the only guys that they had that were top 100 recruits, and Ivy was barely one at 89, were first Kaufman Wren, who's redshirting, and Ivy. Everybody else wasn't even a top 100 recruit. Right. It's an old-fashioned college basketball team. He identified players that other schools overlooked or didn't want, developed them, and they play refreshing basketball where they defend and share the ball. All credit to Matt Painter.
And you've got guys that want to go there and play for him.
Especially big guys.
Especially big guys.
Who's can you name another coach that's found guys like Isaac Haas and Matt Harms and Zach Edey? Three guys who were nobody really wanted who've come into Purdue and become, functional players, and Edey's going to probably be a pro.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Oh, he's 7'4"?
7'4", 295, and I think he's shooting like 70%, 77% at the line.
Why you now that is for a big guy, that's shocking. It is shooting free throws for big guys is probably one of the toughest things in the world because of the different trajectory. I mean, You're not, for most guys, it's just a different arc, and they're almost shooting down at the rim if they extend upwards.
Well, remember, Indiana took Grant Gillen from that Crown Point team, and Purdue took Sasha Stevanovic.
Oops.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, there you go. So make sure you go to WDRB.com and pick up all of what Rick's got out there. There's plenty more in addition to that. You can get information about the saga going on with Vince Tyra down there as well. So, and then he also puts out his weekly AP ballot, which is, I like that you do that. Not everybody doesn't, and I like that you do. I appreciate you that you do that. So thank you. People complaining, were complaining before the loss this year because it's about Indiana. And I'm like, I kept looking at the Ken Palm numbers, and they were kind of mirroring where they were in the AP poll.
Right.
So, and they still do. So it's until Indiana has some work to do to get up to that, Bob.
I mean, if they beat Wisconsin on the road, they got a chance to make
They got a chance. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
They got a chance.
Hey, Jim, real quick. Yeah, can I promote something I got coming up
Absolutely.
tomorrow?
I was getting ready to come to you next.
All right. I got a piece, a long Q&A with Reggie Miller. I went out to New York recently, and, the NBA does its top 75 players. The Athletic has also done that. Reggie Miller comes in at number 47. I went out to New York to his hotel. We hung out for about an hour and a half, and really interesting stuff from Uncle Reggie. I thought he was terrific, and I hope people will take a look at it in the Athletic.
Absolutely.
Where's he living now?
He still lives in California. Yeah, Malibu. Strangely enough.
No home in Indiana?
He says he doesn't have a place in Indiana any longer.
Does he come back very often?
Not too frequently. Like he said, there's not a lot of TNT games in Indiana, right now. So, yeah. So now he doesn't get back a lot, but he made very clear that his heart, it was and is here, and why he decided to stay here his entire career. People forget in 2007, maybe it was, he had a chance to join the Boston Celtics, who had just, they put Pierce and Garnett and Allen together, and they ended up winning a championship. And Reggie was given the opportunity to do some ring chasing, and he decided not to. And his answer for not doing it is really good stuff. So, yeah, if you're a Pacers fan, a Reggie fan, check it out.
Yeah, just Reggie's one of those guys that just you have to love. I do, and love reading about him. So make sure you go to the Athletic and read up on that, or also about the Colts as they are trying to get the playoffs. Man, they are still trying and trying. They've got an outside shot still, Bob.
Oh, they got a good shot. I mean, 50. What are they? I think it's like 53% or something like that, according to people who know math. But look, if they can win their AFC games, if they can knock off both New England and the Raiders, they're in really good shape. But, they got the bye week this week, so that's good. So does New England. They got the bye week as well. And, that's going to be it's nice to see Colts Patriots being an important game once again, because, man, for, 15 years, that was it. That was the marquee NFL must-see TV appointment viewing, the whole bit. It hasn't been that way recently, but this is going to be one of those games that bring back some memories.
You think the Patriots will throw it more than 3 times?
I think they will. I got a funny story for next week. I mean, I think it's funny. I haven't read it yet. So I talked to Chuck Pagano. Remember the fake punt against the Patriots many years ago? So probably the worst play of all time, the worst conceived and executed play of all time. And Chuck was hilarious. He was great. He said, when they put me in my final suit and they put me in the ground, they'll be saying, fake punt, fake punt.
He should hold up a little pennant that says fake punt in the casket.
Yeah, poor guy. So I got that coming. And also real quick, I went up to Grand Rapids, Michigan.
You've been traveling.
Yeah, I've been traveling. Went to Grand Rapids and hooked up with Lance Stevenson, who's playing in the G League up there. And Lance is always good for a story, and he's doing really well up there, and he still has that dream of coming back someday.
Well, make sure you go to The Athletic to read all of that, and it's good stuff. I promise you. Be a subscriber. I am. Also, WDRB.com for everything from Rick Bozich and more. But great stuff there. Guys, I cannot thank you enough. Look forward to this. You guys are one of the highlights of the week.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Jim, good to see you.
You too, guys. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this. That was a great I love that segment. I wish I could do that
come on
the time.
Just going to come on and wrap it up after this because you're at 156.
Yep. It's great. Oh, wait a minute. Are we over already?
Yeah, we're over.
Holy crap. We're supposed to end it right now.
Yeah.
You may have to I would have ended it right there.
Yeah.
You don't even worry about adding the break, man. Just skip that last break.
Okay.
You don't even have to put this break on, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
You can just bring it back and take this back and just edit it on to the end. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you just want to clap now and then I can edit it on and end right after Rick and Bob leave?
Clap? So is that like setting the...
Yeah, so it's a loud noise so I can see it on the audio file. And then you say, I'll see on the radio, and then we can end so we're not like... Because I'll probably have to cut all this out to be at 155, basically.
Yeah. 156.
156 is the limit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll cut all this out, and then once you come back, I'll just add in the Well, I'm gonna record it as if I just ended off of that last segment. Yeah.
So you're at the edit right on top of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. I'm ready whenever you are.
Good. Go.
Man, what a blast that was and always is. Rick and Bob. Rick Bozich from WDRB.com and Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. Like I said, go follow those guys. And make sure you give Keegan a follow as well. Writer for thehoosier.com, covering all things, actually, basketball, football, whatever. Appreciate you there. And give me a follow at Jim Coyle ISB. Make sure you hit notifications for YouTube so you can always get this. And other than that, it's been a hell of a day, fun day. Look forward to doing this again tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Thursday. Man, another busy day. You got Chris Denari, you got Matt Taylor, Kyle Nedrip, whoever else we got, plus results of Indiana at Wisconsin. Tonight after the game, Charlie Miller would be joining for the post-game show. He was one of the last guys to beat Wisconsin up there. Other than that, thanks to Keegan, thanks to Rick Bozich, Bob Kravitz, and most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, could not, no reason to be here. Until tomorrow, until tonight, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.